There's a timeless secret hidden deep in Japanese culture, one that has quietly transformed lives and built some of the most disciplined minds and strongest organizations in the world. It's called Kaizen, a simple idea that holds extraordinary power. The word itself means continuous improvement, but it's far more than a method. It's a way of life. When I first heard about Kaizen, I thought it was just about business productivity or efficiency. But the deeper I explored, the more I realized that it's actually a roadmap for personal transformation, especially when it comes to breaking bad habits. You see, most of us approach change in extremes. We wait for the perfect moment to start. We tell ourselves, tomorrow I'll quit smoking, or next week I'll wake up early. But when the time comes, our willpower burns out as quickly as it flares up. Kaizen takes a completely different approach. It whispers instead of shouts. It teaches us to move not in leaps, but in steps so small that resistance almost disappears. Instead of trying to change everything at once, it asks just one question. What's one small improvement I can make today? It could be as simple as drinking one more glass of water, doing one push-up, or reading a single page. The power lies in consistency, because even the smallest action, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable momentum. Like a bamboo plant that spends years growing roots before it shoots up tall, Kaizen builds a foundation beneath the surface first. But the journey begins with awareness, and this is where most people stumble. The Japanese call this inner reflection naisi, the art of looking inward with honesty and calm. You can't fix what you don't understand. Breaking a bad habit isn't about fighting yourself. It's about seeing yourself clearly. When you start observing your patterns, when, why, and how you repeat them, you stop being a victim of your impulses. For example, maybe you don't overeat because you love food, but because it's your comfort after a stressful day. Maybe you procrastinate not because you're lazy, but because you fear failure. Kaizen teaches you to become curious about your habits, not ashamed of them. It's like standing in front of a mirror and learning to look with compassion instead of criticism. Awareness doesn't solve the problem immediately, but it gives you control over it, and that's where real change begins. Then comes the beautiful part. You don't have to erase bad habits, you simply replace them. Human nature resists emptiness. When you remove something from your life, it leaves a space, and that space craves to be filled. Kaizen gently fills that space with something better. If you spend an hour scrolling through your phone every night, don't try to cut it off cold turkey. Instead, replace just 5 minutes of that time with reading a book or stretching. You're not depriving yourself, you're redirecting your energy. Over time, those small substitutions create a ripple effect. What once felt impossible becomes effortless. You start realizing that transformation doesn't come from sudden bursts of willpower, but from quiet daily redirection. This philosophy is best embodied by what the Japanese call the 1% rule. Imagine improving by just 1% every day. It sounds small, almost meaningless, but over a year that compounds into massive growth. A 1% better you today becomes a 37 times better you by next year. Think of how samurai trained, not through massive leaps, but through daily refinement, mastering one stroke, one stance, one breath at a time. They didn't aim to be perfect today, they aimed to be slightly better than yesterday. That's the heart of Kaizen, progress over perfection. Every small improvement, no matter how tiny, becomes sacred. The difference between success and failure is not effort, but endurance. And that endurance requires patience. In a world addicted to speed, Kaizen reminds us that slow progress is still progress. When a Japanese craftsman spends years perfecting the handle of a sword or the brushstroke of a painting, he isn't wasting time. He's honoring the process. The same principle applies to personal growth. There will be days when you slip, when you fall back into old habits, when your progress feels invisible. But Kaizen doesn't punish those moments. It accepts them as part of the journey. Each mistake is a teacher, each failure a refinement. True mastery isn't the absence of mistakes. It's the persistence to rise again and again, gently but firmly, until change becomes natural. And finally, Kaizen must be lived, not just understood. It's not a philosophy to think about once and forget. It's something you weave into every corner of your day. You can begin with something as small as writing a single sentence in a journal each morning, or setting one mindful attention before bed. You can review your day not with judgment, but with curiosity. What did I learn today? What can I do slightly better tomorrow? Slowly, those small acts build a rhythm, a lifestyle where growth becomes effortless. And before you know it, you're not forcing discipline, you're becoming it. That's when change stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like peace. The Japanese say, even dust, when piled up, can become a mountain. Every small action, every mindful moment, every gentle effort, it all adds up. That's how Kaizen breaks bad habits, not by force, by quiet consistency. Because real transformation doesn't happen when you change everything at once. It happens when you decide never to stop improving.